This is very likely to happen for the most common sizes, or if we have contention on the heap lock. Okay, so now the question that was even a long time ago was, okay, so we detect some inconsistency in data. Let's say you find that the forward, backward, and so on, the list entry is invalid, is incorrect. And okay, so what to do about that? And this is a very tough answer because, you know, if I take the security hat, I can say, well, we should terminate the process. This is like an attack. We should just terminate the process. There is no way we have to live with that. On the other side, if you look at the compatibility perspective, some applications have nothing to do with the network, has no exposure to any attacks whatsoever. And actually, if you look for a broader area of applications that run on Vista, the percentage that was really interest is on the focus on the security researchers. It's a very, very small percentage of that. So for all of those things, we have to kind of see what do you have to draw the line? What do we have to know when we can actually, you know, take the security very seriously and we have no tolerance for these errors, and where we can leave this application running because it's harmless, not networking facing, and so on. And back then, in Windows 2003 and XP SP2, we had a global flag which can be like system-wide as a policy. It also can be like per process or per image base. And when that flag was on, we issued a DBG breakpoint, and that may end up in you know, in Dr. Watson, or if people handle that, maybe nothing happened. And however, in Vista, we come up with a way, so we enable applications or processes that have security at a very high standard to choose security versus compatibility. So they have a way now, actually several ways now, to make this choice. And if any inconsistency in the data or any corruption we detect at runtime, then we're going to make this call to Windows error reporting and terminate the process. And there is no exception passing and anything like that people can handle to you know, to cache this up front. And the scope is process-wide. You cannot say this heap can crash, this cannot crash. Once you set it, the entire process, no matter what the heap is, no matter what the cause is going to terminate as soon as you detect an inconsistency. Detailed information is also available in dump files. And currently we have no plan to provide the functions to disable it, and we want to you know, to stick with that, but there might be some things with respect to compatibility, and we have to find a way to enable those. Yeah? No, so currently there is no way to turn on randomization. Currently there is no way to turn on. Yeah? Sorry? So I think you have a choice to actually replace the default debugger, which is the default behavior as the program crashes, right? And that thing, it's actually, so if you replace this and if you launch the debugger, you can have control from, because you get the exception before happens. Let's say you have a access violation in the heap manager. You are going to see an exception first because we see a debugger attached to this. And you can actually intercept from that point on. So it has to act as a debugger for that. So if you don't run into a crash, then what is the problem? Yeah. So okay, so if we detect something, if we have debugger attached, we first allow the debugger to take control over that place, right? So you can define your tool wherever as a debugger and take advantage of that functionality. Make sense now? So Okay, so we took the stand that 64-bit platforms have this termination error on by default. And this is very easy because there is no much compatibility in 64 land at all. And the same, we did a lot for the 32-bit applications that were built for Vista. The components that ship within the Vista, most of them have this functionality enabled. And here is a programmatic way, like some component or some applications can enable this functionality. And this has been already documented in MSDN, and it's available in the Vista build. This is using the heap set information. It's a new information class added to this call. If your component is critical for security, actually I recommend anyone would use this thing at all. Sorry, I recommend anyone will use this function, because even if it's not important for security, it's also important for reliability and for code quality. And sometimes, you have to pay support costs and so on to understand where the problem is. And information about corruption is going to be available in debugger, as I'm going to show right now. So I have a demo here with the process which has a few memory problems. So okay, this is the code, and it has the font size so that makes it easier. So basically, I'm going to go through like 3 scenarios. So one is freeing a random pointer from the stack to the heap manager. Another one would be doing a malloc and having a buffer overrun with this pointer, with this value over the pointer, and then subsequent heap operation after that. And I also have some leaks if we have time to go to this as well. So let's see. Okay, so let's see what happens if we start this process. Actually, okay, so you see this error code here, critical error detected, and this is when the heap manager detected that an invalid heap operation happened. This is the free of a stack pointer to the heap manager. And we can see that the application has this enabled by default. And this will be going to be the hard way because there is some glitch in the debugger extension right now. So this is the value that we check before we break inside the debugger. So there was supposed to be some random value there. 0 is clearly not a good one. If it's 0 or anything but that value, the heap is going to break. So even if you, so the idea would be to make it difficult for someone to guess the right value to disable the entire functionality. So let's go to this again. And let's do it a bit different. So we saw this, so let's get running. And you see after this DBG breakpoint that happened in the debugger, we saw actually the actual Windows error reporting showing up the dialog, and the process is terminated. So this stack, variable of the free stack in this particular case is not really harmless. So even if that happened, we can detect earlier and prevent some corruption to happen to the heap. But we really want to be very rigorous on the heap management functions. So a process which wouldn't have this application enabled will do something like, let me try this again. Okay, so this is not really interesting. Now this is interesting. So this is in the heap management code when we try to see what is our current policy to break in debugger. So we read this value over there, and let's unassemble a little bit before. So it was this comparison that that was failing back there, right? And if we look at the value of EAX, this was the random cookie we expected to see in this particular case, in this process on this instance. If you run this several times, you see something else. And let's go back. Let's go back again, and let's put the right value over there. Actually. So this one here. Okay, so now it shows out the right value, and let's try to move the instruction pointer back one instruction. So we get this comparison again. Okay, so let's execute this code again. And now you see we have the same test, but now we have to now we take the branch, and we actually skip all the breaking in debugger that for this process. And this is what happens for processes which have the enable break on corruptions off. So if we continue to run, this is the normal exit of the process, and as you see, there is nothing. There is no no trace, no anything that something really bad happened to this process at all. Okay. So let's just pick like another process here. Yes, I have some time for this. So let's just pick now like an SVC host somewhere here. So this is, the count is limited, so I can't really open this process. So I have to enable to run as admin. Actually, so let's pick this again, yeah. Okay, so now we are successful. So if we look at this, oops. So this was like an arbitrary services process running inside Windows. So this has the termination on corruption also enabled. And as I said before, we took the stand to have most of the Windows components in the loop for this one. And okay, so going back to the slides, I'd like to make the awareness that Heap Manager also can be seen as a tool in increasing the code quality. So all these early detection methods, everything that was done before, actually helps people to find bugs much earlier in the